I wrote the UTM exam 3 times before I gained admission into medical school, but I could only score above 300 during the last attempt. I actually prepared for this exam back then, but there was a huge difference in the third exam, and this is what this video is all about. In this video, I'll share with you what I did in my third jamb, which made me score higher than the first and the second jamb I took. If you are new to my channel, I'm IFEDIC by name, and I'm currently a second-year medical student from the Federal University of Health Sciences at Osun State. I make videos like this to help students build the right mindset towards their education. Please do help to like and share this video to friends and people you feel this video would be helpful to. Now let's jump right back to where we stopped. As at when I wrote my third UTM exam, I was more knowledgeable, and the surprising fact was that it was still the same me who wrote this exam that wrote the previous ones. A lot of significant changes had happened in between those times, and I constructed them into 5 tips which I will share in this video. If you know you'll be writing the 2026 UTM exam, make sure you do not skip any part of this video. The first tip I would like to share with you, which helped me when I was preparing for my third jamb, was my mindset. Your mindset and determination would actually play key roles in achieving success during this exam. Before my third UTM exam, chemistry had always been my lowest score. So while preparing for my third jamb, I made up my mind that I was going to score above 80 in chemistry. This was actually the force that drove me to study more for this exam. My mindset had always been that chemistry was a very difficult subject and that I wasn't good in chemistry. But in my final attempt, I was really determined and I changed my mindset about chemistry. I bought the Lamlad chemistry textbook, which was the first textbook I would ever buy with my money. I made up my mind to read and study everything that was inside the book. So chemistry was actually my driving force. This determination I had eventually spread across the rest of the subjects, because how else could I have completed the textbook and still read other subjects if I didn't reform my mindset towards studying? As at that time I was working, so I didn't really have all the time to study. It was mainly at night I studied within the range of 2 to 3 hours. So this is my advice. You should be determined. You should have a driving force to study. Change your lazy mindset and channel that force as a source of motivation. My driving force back then was that I was going to score above 80 in chemistry and physics, and that the UTME would not hold me down. The second tip I would like to share with you is to have a study plan. I had a study plan when I was reading for my third UTM exam, which I never actually had before. When I was preparing for my previous 2 jambs, I would just randomly read topics from the textbook. I read passively for these exams, flipping through pages of textbooks, skipping difficult topics which I never went back to study. In fact, for a subject like chemistry, I ended up not even reading up to 20% of the whole syllabus. I was always skipping what I felt was too difficult, as I didn't have a study plan or even a timetable to follow. No timetable, no jamb syllabus. I didn't even have a fixed time to study. I was literally working without any plan. This actually changed in my third jamb. I could remember the first thing I did then was to get the jamb syllabus for that particular year. I was determined to follow the jamb syllabus this time. I wrote out each topic for all the subjects, but the only way this could actually be very effective was to have a study plan. I couldn't read long hours then because I was always exhausted from the day's job. So I fixed a specific time at night, which I made sure I read for at least 2 hours. I would pick the syllabus, pick a topic under the syllabus, and make sure I read it actively. Now, I made use of the word actively because anytime I read, I made sure I engaged with what I was actually reading, asking myself questions, solving past questions, and also generating possible explanations for what I just read. I made sure I read 2 subjects in a day, even if I don't cover the entire topic. Revision was also part of my plan. I made sure before I start a new topic, I reviewed what I previously read. This study routine actually helped a lot. The third tip, which helped me a lot then, was active study. I made mention of this earlier. When studying, make sure maximum concentration is achieved. I made sure I jotted down only relevant information. This helped me during the last month to jamb because it would have been really stressful to start reading all the topics all over again. Most times the points I would jot down would be directly from recall, not directly from the textbook. Because if I can't recall an information, then definitely I don't know it. In the course of doing this, it will make me know what I've actually forgotten and would enable me to go back to read again. Another way I studied actively was by trying to link informations together. I've made a video on active study technique. You can check it out. The ability to link new information with old information is actually very important when reading. For example, when reading biology, you could try to link the transport system with the excretory system. All these were forms of active recall, which were the tools I used then to study effectively. By the time of the examination, I had so much knowledge and I had been able to shift these informations to the long-term memory storage. It was very easy to remember these. You should try this out if you are looking forward to score very high in the UTME exam. The fourth tip, which I would like to share with you, is testing practice. I made sure I tested myself repeatedly. Self-testing might feel difficult, but it actually helps a lot. There are a lot of scientific researches that back this claim up. Testing yourself after study goes a long way. Your brain is forced to retrieve information, and this helps in critical thinking. This helps to strengthen the neurons in your brain, which helps you to remember information easily. Then I made sure to test myself with past questions and also the questions from the textbook. For example, in the LAMLA textbook, there are usually questions after each topic. I made sure to attempt all these questions because I knew it would help a lot, and it actually did. I would advise you to get a note for past questions in which you can try out different years of past questions. Solving past questions creates room for improvement. It's better to miss questions during the testing practice than missing questions during the actual examination. Another advice is that you should carefully observe this question. When you are solving past questions, take note of the ones you missed and understand why you actually missed them. You are not just answering questions, you are actually learning. Know the reason why you missed a question and go back to read that topic which you missed the question from. The JAMB syllabus doesn't really change, so every question is picked out from a topic. I believe there is actually no question that has not been asked before. So by solving past questions, you boost your chances of picking the right answer in the main exam. These were the tips I used and mastered, and I was able to achieve my goals. I was able to score above 300 in JAMB and also score above 80 in physics and chemistry. The fifth tip is to be disciplined, put everything in prayer, and also be consistent in your routine. So if you are listening to me and you don't know how to go about your preparation towards the UTME, just follow these tips and I assure you the outcome will be successful. Remember, it's not about studying hard, it's about studying smart.